What is going on, kings and queens of this wonderful wonderland that we call YouTube? If you recall, the last time that Telltale's Batman made an appearance on this channel, not only did I scream the game's praises from the rooftop, but I also was very, very ecstatic about the idea of a Season 2 and being able to continue that story. Well, since that video was released, my wishes have been granted, my prayers have been answered, and we now have Batman Season 2, The Enemy Within. And right from the get-go, right from the beginning of the game, it holds back no punches. It takes place right where the first season left off, and the best way that I can describe it is it's straight from the frying pan and into the fire for our pal Batman. Instead of dealing with Lady Arkham and the Children of Arkham, as we did in the last season, we now have to contend with the likes of Harley Quinn, the Joker, Bane, and Mr. Freeze, and their leader, the Riddler, who all come together to form this group by the name of the Pact. And the Riddler, specifically in this game as a villain, is I think the one that resonated and stuck out with me the most. And I think that's because he is a version of himself that I am not too familiar with. Apart from being his normal, narcissistic, intellectual self, he is also very sadistic. He likes to play games with his victims in which they have to successfully answer his riddles in order to survive his death traps and ultimately escape their encounter in one piece, which is not too unlike Jigsaw from the Saw movies. And I think that's why he stuck out to me and ended up to be one of my favorites, is because I'm a big fan of the Saw movies, I'm a big fan of Jigsaw, and I could just really see that, and I found that very, very interesting, that he kind of acted as a budget Jigsaw, in so many words. But anyway, the premise of the story is that essentially, after many, many years, the Riddler comes back to Gotham with the rest of the Pact, with their goal being to get their hands on a biological weapon, on a virus. And with the Pact popping up in Gotham, the way they just kind of do one night, it attracts the attention of one Amanda Waller. Now, if you cringed when I said the name Amanda Waller, it's because you know who Amanda Waller is. And if you don't, you probably would know her best as the mastermind behind the Suicide Squad, and an all-around witch of a woman. I hate her, you hate her. Anybody that knows who Amanda Waller is knows that she is nothing but bad news. So essentially, Riddler and the Pact popping up back in Gotham after so many years attracts the attention of Amanda Waller and the agency, which of course causes trouble for Jim Gordon and the rest of the Gotham City Police Department. Well, after some rather unsavory events happen, it forces Bruce Wayne to get cozy with the Pact and become a member, so that he can not only figure out what they want to do with said virus that they're after, but also how to stop them. and he finds out some secrets related to that. So right off the bat, from the beginning of the game, there's already two hard lines that are drawn in the sand for Bruce Wayne. Essentially, do you become a criminal and help the Pact, or do you remain true to your hero self and only get close enough to stop them? And whose side of the line are you on? Are you going to stick close to Jim Gordon, or are you going to stick close to Amanda Waller? Which really makes, as per usual for Telltale, really makes an interesting dynamic as far as the universe goes. It really gives you some really tough decisions to make, really tough lines to cross or not cross, and sides to take. But if I'm being honest, there are really two main things that stuck out to me that I really fell in love with this game. And they're two things that are more or less connected. The first being the relationship between the Joker and Harley Quinn. Now, as Batman fans, we all know the story of how Joker and Harley became an item. That being that Harley Quinn got a job as a psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum, where Joker was being kept. She became his doctor, and through getting to know him, she was ultimately seduced and brainwashed into being his right-hand man, or right-hand woman, I should say. But this game does things very differently and very interestingly, because it kind of does this role reversal thing. Instead of having Harley Quinn be the blank slate that Joker is able to mold and create, Joker is the blank slate that Harley Quinn kind of takes under her wing and shows everything to, which is really interesting because I've never seen that happen before, and it surprisingly works very well, to have Joker be this innocent, naive puppy dog of sorts, and have Harley Quinn be the badass, sexy criminal that knows all the ins and outs of being a bad guy, and she's more or less teaching Joker how to be that way. The other element that is connected to it that was very interesting is the brewing relationship between the Joker and Bruce Wayne. As Batman fans, we all know that there's this kind of unspoken bond, this unspoken relationship between the two. They always seem to be these very sturdy pillars in each other's lives. They're pretty much the only constant thing in each other's lives. And you know, they're unable to hurt each other. They're unable to kill each other. They bring out the best in each other, but they can't be without each other. Which is something that I've always found very interesting, and something that I've known very little about. And, you know, one of the big choices in the game is really to decide, as Batman, how do you proceed with Joker? Do you be friends with him? Do you cast him aside? Do you treat him poorly? You know, all that kind of stuff. And ultimately, you know, the interesting thing is that with Joker being that blank slate. You know, he spends the entire game figuring out who he is, figuring out how he fits into society now that he's outside of Arkham. He just wants to realize his place in the universe, essentially. And depending on how you play and those choices that you make, you know, how you treat him, what you do with him, and the relationship that you keep, he, in so many ways, finds himself more and more as the game goes on. You know, and it's kind of interesting because you can see it coming from a mile away. He has little outbursts of anger and rage, and he says that, you know, he doesn't really know who he is yet, but he can feel it down deep inside. He's like an animal pacing in a cage waiting to be let loose. So you can see that the dude's not right. You can tell that this guy is the Joker. And it really creates a necessity for you as the player to decide how you want to dance around that, and you have to treat it very delicately because he is ultimately very, very fragile mentally. And those are just two things that, in my mind, help Season 2 outdo Season 1. I gave Season 1 a 10 out of 10. I would, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, would give Season 2 a 10 out of 10. I would give it an 11 out of 10 if I could, just because I really feel like there's certain things that, as good as Season 1 is, Season 2 does better. And really kind of the relationships and the situations between characters and the universe and everything. You know, where Season 1 kind of lays the foundation, lays the basis for your relationships with the Joker, Alfred, and Catwoman, amongst others. This one, the primary focus is really diving deeper and letting those move forward and kind of reveal themselves more on a deeper, more intense level. And really the cool thing is just how you play. You know, I said this in the Season 1 video, but the coolest thing about the decision making is that you really get the feel for what it must be like to be Batman, and just how all the choices and all the decisions are intertwined. Creates kind of this really unique web where what Bruce Wayne does can affect how Batman is perceived, and the things that Batman decides to do can make life harder for Bruce Wayne. And all these relationships are kind of on glass because of those decisions. You can be friends with somebody one moment and they're turning their back on you the next because you pissed them off in an episode, or you said something that they didn't like. And it's just really, really intense. Everything is, you know, on pins and needles, and kind of at your fingertips. And it's just everything that Season 1 was and more. And yeah, I can't wait to see what happens in Season 3 and kind of the backlash of my decisions, because I know definitely the way that I played, I won't say too much, but I will say that the way I played kind of made the Gotham that we're all familiar with take shape, which I was very, very excited about, because I'm like, now we're going to get into the thick of it. Now, you know, all the origin story stuff, all the relationships are done and kind of moving on, and now we can get into really your typical Batman, just on a different level, being that your decisions matter, your actions matter, and your actions really shape the world of Gotham, and everything that goes on in it, and it's just really, really awesome. Yeah, I'm really, really excited. I think it goes without saying that I'm going to give this one a 10 out of 10. Like I said, I would give it an 11 out of 10 if I could. If you're into the type of games where you get to make your decisions, and those affect the outcome of the game that you're playing, this is a game for you. If you have, if you're a Batman fan who has yet to check out the Telltale series, don't wait, because it's awesome, and it's definitely one of the best Batman games overall that I have played, and I'm just so excited to see it continue. But yeah, that'll about do it for this video. In closing, though, as always, I just kind of want to give myself a little sellout point and say that if you are interested at all in my books and my other creative projects and processes, there are Facebook links up above. The first one will take you to my book-specific page and kind of my store, if you will, where you can get news on just my books and other writing things going on. And the second one is for a Facebook group where pretty much everything I do creatively ends up. Everything from books to YouTube videos to this and that, everything is there. And that's the place where we have built a really awesome family, a really awesome community. So if you have any interest in supporting me and following me, definitely check those things out. And we'd love to have you. Now, as far as YouTube goes, as always, just subscribe to the channel if you haven't, like the video, comment on the video, but perhaps the most important thing is make sure that you click that little bell icon if you haven't, so you can get notified every time that I make videos like this, so you don't miss out. So that being said, guys, until next time, as always, I salute you. And remember, we're all mad here.